Hello, my friends. For many of us, time spent on the job is not only mentally and emotionally taxing, but it can also become physically uncomfortable. Whether we need to stand for long periods, sit staring at a screen, walk constantly, or lift heavy things, each of these has the potential to wear down our bodies slowly and eventually cause significant pain. Sometimes it's due to severe injuries that require support from a team of experts, but more often it's caused by simple mistakes in how we use our bodies. And if you can make some of those changes on your own in posture, movement, or mindset, I guarantee it will make your life much easier. First, let me reiterate that some individuals have serious health issues that require a doctor's examination. And if you suspect that you may need immediate help, please do make an appointment. Make that time, go visit an expert. It's always worth being extra cautious with your health and well-being. And it's genuinely important to me that you find ways to heal and enjoy your life even more. So, let's start with a comfortable seated posture. Since so many of us spend a massive portion of our lives sitting slumped in a chair, when we think about being relaxed, unfortunately, many of us plop into our chairs, sag, slouch. This is not relaxation. It's collapsing. It puts a massive amount of stress in your circulatory system, obstructs your breathing, makes your mind fuzzy, interferes with digestion, and a ton more. It's no wonder that we feel terrible after a full day in this position. Luckily for us, millennia ago, meditators discovered how to sit comfortably for extended periods of time. And we can use some of those ancient skills to make our modern lives much easier. So, get into a comfortable, upright posture. If possible, use a chair that places the center of your hip just a little bit higher than the center of your knee. Keep your feet flat on the ground beneath your knees and soften your hips so that you can freely shake your thighs from side to side so that you're not gripping your hips. At least not too much tension. And take a moment to let your posture settle slightly before trying to make changes. There's no rush. Notice how your posture feels right now. Where it's tight, where it's collapsed, and, very importantly, where you feel the most comfortable. Pay extra attention to any areas that have been injured or that may require special care. How is your breathing? What is the quality of your mind today? Checking in. How about your emotional flow? All of these aspects of your body and mind are impacted by your postural skills. So learning to notice how they're functioning now in this moment will become increasingly vital as you improve. How's your back feeling? Can you straighten up without arching back too far? We don't want some sort of military posture. Forcing your back to arch or your shoulders to draw back towards your spine, it'll only make you exhausted more quickly. We want to find a postural relationship that is effortless to maintain throughout the day. That's what work is like for a lot of people. And notice that I called it a relationship Posture isn't something that you hold. It doesn't stay the same constantly. Posture is a dynamic relationship throughout your body and your mind. So, as I make suggestions about your body shape, don't try to become rigid with them as rules. Everyone's body is different. And our goal is not to hold a posture. One of our goals is to allow the weight of the body to be supported by the chair rather than by our soft tissues. And let me say that again. We don't hold a posture. We release into a shape that allows us to stay healthy and comfortable throughout the changing circumstances of our lives. The weight doesn't go to the joints of our body, it goes through them and into the chair or the ground. Through, not to. With your shoulders over your hips, vertically, sway forward and backward a bit. Don't do it by collapsing and arching your back. That's not helpful. Also, don't do it by pushing your head or your shoulders forward and backward. Instead, adjust the angle of your torso vertically by hinging from your hips. Sometimes this is easier if you're sitting on a hard chair because you can more easily feel the weight pressing down into these sitting bones, these ischial tuberosity. And depending on the shape of your body and the type of chair, you may notice that you can fold from your hips and adjust your pelvis so that the weight of your body moves from being on top of those bones, those sitting bones, to behind them, as though you're collapsing onto your tailbone, to tilting until it allows the weight of your body to rest in front of them. Try hinging forward and back, feeling the weight moving over these bones, behind, on top, in front. It's essential to correct this part of your alignment, so take a moment to play with the positioning. Align your body so that the weight falls in front of those sitting bones, the ischial tuberosity. Maintain an upright and relaxed posture without slouching forward or pulling your shoulders back. And as you settle into this new posture, pay attention to how your body adjusts as you release that tension. Here's a question for you. What direction do tension and stress tend to move in the body? Contraction is something that moves inward. It compresses toward the center and lifts you up as you become ungrounded. Can you feel it? Now ask yourself, what direction does relaxation and a feeling of peace move in the body? It's a kind of opening, expansion, a decompression in all directions. And then followed by a settling of your soft tissues through toward the ground, through your body to the chair and the ground. So do a bit of practice. paying attention to this loosening quality in the body. Pay attention to the movement of your breath. Don't over-control this process. Maintain your focus with a light and gentle touch. We're just sitting, only paying attention. And if you start to try hard and force concentration during this practice, you'll only create more tension. So try this. Exhale through your mouth. Inhale through your nose. Exhale and release any tension held in your body. Notice how each time you relax a bit deeper, you uncover a feeling of peace and quiet. Inhale, allowing that feeling of peace and stillness to increase. Exhale and soften. Inhale and become still. Notice that as you relax, your joints and your soft tissues gently open and decompress. The more you let go, the more you feel comfortable, at ease, expansive. This is a foundational Taoist practice. I hope that you enjoy it, and I recommend exploring it at least once a day. When you become proficient at it, you'll find yourself relying on this kind of releasing method during every stressful event. Exhaling and inhaling. So ask yourself, is there a regular event that does cause you stress? And when you do become stressed, what happens to your posture and your breathing? Can you feel in your body how much of a difference this practice can make for you during those tight moments? Now, we come to a essential principle of our healthy postural method. Remember the feeling of your body opening as you relaxed? Let's explore it a bit further. If your chair allows it, let your arms hang at your sides. If necessary, stand up just to give your arms enough space to hang. Exhale and release the tension from your shoulders, your upper arms, around your elbows, your wrists, your hands. Notice how, as the contraction begins to open, it's as though your arms sink and lengthen under the influence of gravity. Let's call this experience of decompression softening long. To soften long. There's something very powerful about this kind of opening and expansion. In fact, it actually becomes potent enough to support our posture and structure. And let me repeat that as well, because it's a vital point to understand. When we relax within and through good postural relationships, the joints and the soft tissues lengthen and decompress. You're already feeling it. And with practice, this expansion is actually powerful enough to hold us up in a good seated position. It feels wonderful and makes it much easier to sit or stand during long periods of work, or just any time during the day. And after enough training, it becomes strong enough to move your whole body through something like a Tai Chi form, with extra practice. But honestly, it feels like magic. It's fantastic for your health, and I cannot recommend it enough for you to start training with an expert to explore the skill. So for now, it's easy to feel this kind of opening in the arms and the shoulders, but perhaps the most essential place to begin to look for it is within the neck. When our head is drooping forward, it's like a bowling ball pulling down on our upper spine. We have to grip all of the musculature in the back just to keep ourselves from collapsing forward, closing off our airway, compressing our circulation. And it's no wonder we struggle to learn how to relax our neck and shoulders. So let's experiment with this a little more. Align yourself vertically so that gravity can pass through your torso and into the chair, into the ground, more easily. Vertical alignment, like architecture. With your fingers, find the tops of your ears and then go straight up in order to help locate the crown of your head. Position the crown of your head above your spine, if possible. Again, everyone has a different body. However, do not use force or strain to push your head into position. Instead, use this new skill of relaxing and lengthening to allow the top of the head to go upward through decompressing the neck and the upper spine. Continue to exhale and release any tension, clenching around your neck, your shoulders, your upper back as much as possible. You inhale, feel that sense of peace. And again, exhaling, feel the top of your head fall upwards, softening your throat. You can even take the time to let go of the tension around your eyes, your jaw, the base of your tongue. And make certain that you're not stacking the weight of your head onto your spine. You allow for the weight to be supported effortlessly through this expansion we're talking about, the softening long. And this practice will take some time to help reshape a body that may have spent decades hardening around the other collapse posture. So be patient and continually use this method of softening long, quieting your mind and your emotions to reshape your neck and your upper back. Those of you who know me and my history with scoliosis will already be aware of how transformative this ancient method has been for me in this particular area. And you'll notice As you practice this for yourself, probably already, how much more alert and quick-witted you feel with this simple adjustment, and especially as it becomes a new habit. So let's do a quick recap. It's useful to first establish good postural relationships from the ground up. Your feet are flat. Your legs are uncrossed, with your hips slightly higher than your knees to help your back relax. Sit on the front third of your chair, making it easier to rest the weight appropriately on the spot in front of your sitting bones, rather than back on your tailbone. Rest the weight of your body onto this place instead of trying to hold your body weight upward with force. Let the weight fall through your body onto the chair and the ground. Position your shoulders over your hips and that sitting bone so that you can relax more easily, and position your head above the rest of your spine. Then, begin to let go of any tension, allowing your body to unclench, and feel the natural, effortless style of opening that starts to occur as your joints and soft tissues decompress. Explore that possibility in your neck so that the weight of your head is no longer pulling down on your upper back. It takes some practice, so be patient with your process. Your health and your comfort are worth the investment. Now that you've started to take the weight off the tops of your shoulders, out of your neck, let's relax further. Just as before, allowing the elbows to hang. The shoulder joints and the musculature on the top open, lengthen. Release the tension around your forearms, your wrists. And if you were to allow the fingers to hang, they would also soften long. It's interesting. There are no muscles in the fingers. So it's really essential to soften the entire hand all the way through to the fingertips. And especially if you're someone who does a lot of work with your hands, please take extra time to release the tension of your hands into wrists, top and bottom, with great self-care and love. Of course, if you sit at a workstation looking at a screen, it's imperative for you to adjust your workspace to suit your new posture. Perhaps raise the screen so that you're not forced to hunch your back and look downward. Sit in a chair that allows you to rest in this new position, with your hips above the level of your knees and your back straight, comfortably upright. If your chair has elbow rests, lower them if needed so they don't force your shoulders up, especially as you work. And if needed, lower your keyboard, if you have one. Move your mouse so that you don't need to tighten and lift your shoulders as you do your work. Have enough full spectrum lights so that you don't need to squint in order to see. If there's a lot of air conditioning in the building, dress warmly or get a heater so that you don't feel the need to clench and shake in response to excessive air conditioning. We don't always have control over the space where we work, but if we're creative, we can make dozens of small changes that make a really big difference over time. You can do it. As your neck and your head release upward, and your arms release downward, a kind of stretching open occurs. Can you feel it? The lengthening is happening entirely through letting go. One up, one down. Let that feeling of lengthening continue to grow, opening in the upper back where the neck and the shoulders meet. Typically, this is an area of enormous tension and compression, causing pain and weakness throughout our lives. Instead, now you have the secret to setting this area free. Exhale and release. Lengthen. Let this space open. And then as you inhale, feel that sense of spaciousness and peace grow as you relax. There's no rush. It should feel wonderful. As the upper back and your neck open, allow your chest to release. Let go of any tension or any kind of holding pattern. The culture that I grew up in really prizes a military-style position, forcing the chest to lift and the upper back to contract. Also, a common practice within the yogic tradition, which I also used to teach, is to lift the chest to create a specific effect. And here we don't want either of those positions. Instead, we need to let go of any need to force your chest upward or holding of your back. There's a direct relationship between your back and your chest. And when your chest lifts, your lower back often arches, your upper back often clenches, pulling toward the spine. And it's much better to allow things to relax and to open into a more effortless position. As you soften your chest, feel the weight fall down through and toward your chair instead of holding it up. It'll give you yet another opportunity to learn to relax your abdomen deeply. Many of us live in a culture that is very belly phobic, shall we say. We're taught to clench and hold our abdomen in tension constantly until it hardens into a piece of immobile wood. Not great for your health and certainly stifling for your breath. And by learning to breathe more freely, your energy level throughout the day will improve significantly. And especially during times of stressful work, it will make all of the difference. Breath through your whole torso, not any place in particular. So let's explore this release of the breath for a moment. Exhale and release any habit of gripping your belly. Inhale and allow the breath to move anywhere that it wants without excessive control. Our goal here is only to remove tension and agitation from the postural relationships and around the activity of your breath. Each time that you feel your breath move, let go as much as possible and facilitate deeper relaxation, increasing that sense of ease. Be careful here that you don't respond to the feeling of relaxation by collapsing, by sagging into the chair. It's a common bad habit, and we want to find a different way to sit. However, if you need to take a break at any time, please pause the lesson until you're ready to continue. We always want to be gentle with ourselves. So now we've reached a tricky spot in this process of learning to relax. The lower back is a complex structural area, and it can relatively easily become a space that's filled with pain and restriction. And we want to begin to soften the musculature in the lumbar area and to allow the body weight to land in the chair rather than getting trapped in the body. Avoid arching your lower back as you sit. And begin to find a way to let it fall open while continuing to rest in front of the sitting bones on your chair. Patience is essential here too. The angles can be difficult to find at first because our body doesn't want to move. You cannot force your body to relax. It's like that old joke of learning how to soften harder. It's just not possible. You can only coax your body with gentleness and rest in order to help it open. It's not always posture that causes an area to clench. Sometimes it's due to an old injury, and often it's a result of a habitual emotional pattern. Perhaps you've noticed that when you start to feel frustrated or angry, your jaw gets tight, your shoulders get tense, your breathing changes. If, like me, you've suffered anxiety attacks, you'll know the terrible feeling in your chest. And you may have noticed how chronic fear causes your lower back to become tight and exhausted, freezes your abdomen, and even weakens your knees. And when these emotions become habitual, the physical aspect also becomes chronic. While methods like meditation and therapy can help with the mental aspect of this emotional cycle, simply releasing those patterns in the body can also aid in the process of healing. Angry people live in angry bodies. If you don't begin to grip your body or hold your breath and mind, then it's much easier to return to a state of calm and presence. When you're at work, this leads to a much more energized and clear-minded state, which helps you skyrocket your work performance, heals your relationships. So let's explore a few more of these basic principles in slightly more difficult positions like the basic standing position. If sitting down is a beginning level practice, somehow standing becomes an intermediate one because now we need to work through the rest of the body while following these same principles. So let's discuss the most basic standing position. And this is one that you can explore while at work, while at home during your life. But these are ways that you can no longer retain those clenching habits. And you can begin to allow the weight of the body to fall through into the ground, just the way we did while allowing it to fall through into the chair. So let's begin with a relatively narrow stance. Let's say small shoulder width apart, maybe the distance of one of your feet separating, more or less, something comfortable. You'll notice that if your stance is too wide, then it begins to put pressure in different areas of your hips and your legs. And this, likewise, if it's too narrow. One very common mistake is rather than allowing the weight to move freely between both legs, we tend to have this contra posture where you settle into one side, your hip juts out, maybe you cross your legs, standing as well as seated. And all of these put a huge amount of pressure onto your hips, onto your lower back, in places where you don't want it, because it's not going down, it's coming up. And so as you stand, you don't need to keep the weight perfectly between both feet, although that's pretty good. But you do want to allow the weight to move freely between both legs in a neutral hip posture, which we'll also get to. The weight not moving too much into your toes or constantly backing up into your heels, but resting, again, in the center of your feet. As you stand, let's allow the weight to fall through the body by no longer locking the hips or locking the knees. This is very common, especially for people that work standing up. Let's say you're processing groceries or you're dealing with somebody handing packages. People do this. And so now all of the weight is here. If you were to imagine a building, again, back to architecture, if you built a structure and the shape of the post was like this, and I put something heavy here, what's the first place that's going to break? Right here. And it's the same thing in our body. What's the first place that we start to feel break? It's very important to maintain this alignment, just as when we're sitting, this vertical alignment, the head falling upward, the shoulders soft and aligned over the center of the hips. And of course, we don't want to be stiff and to always maintain this. It's okay to move around, but this needs to be our common resting space, with our hips gently unlocked, just as though we are about to sit onto a tall chair. We call it sitting into the posture. And likewise, the hips beneath the shoulders, over the center of the feet, so that gravity can go down into the ground. That's the place where we want it to be. Very basic rules for how to be in a body without it breaking too early. And especially if you, while at work, are carrying heavy things, maybe even just a heavy emotional load. But if you're picking up heavy boxes or moving things around, and you do it in a position where that weight gathers in the joints, if I pick up something heavy while I'm in this position, or while my knees are locked, all of the weight and pressure and stress goes to the joints instead of into the soft tissue and into the ground. It's not good for you. It's also rough on your emotional state. We know that tension held in the body evolves into tension in the emotional sphere, tension in the mind. It's all one continuous flow. And so it's very important to learn to relax for the health of your joints, for the health of your mind, for the sanity of your coworkers. Relax. So, aligned relatively evenly between the feet. The hips are gently unlocked, even if just by a centimeter or two. The knees are gently unlocked. Do not lock your knees anymore. Not good for you. And the weight of your whole body is able to fall through to the feet, to the ground. This is a healthy way to stand. We still maintain this softening long quality, this expansiveness, as we learn to stop clenching every part in your body. Instead, we go, and everything opens. And with practice, that expansive quality itself is enough to actually stand on. But of course, that takes practice. First, find it in the seated position. Find it through your neck and then your shoulders, slowly allowing the breath to fill your torso, to move freely. Don't control the breath. Quieting your mind, opening your body, and finding ways to let gravity or anything you're holding, that extra weight, to fall through into the ground. So then, some common mishaps at work. This can only be a quick discussion of how to move while at work. But engaging with this posture, again, if I pick up a heavy box, don't do this. It may feel easier because the weight is going into your joints instead of into your muscles in the same way, but your muscles want that weight and your joints do not. Keep the box close to your body. Settle your hips and allow the weight to go through rather than trying to balance this way or to put it onto your hip like this. It's okay to do it once in a while, but it tends to lead to a lot of pain. So please be careful. Likewise, if you move to pick something up, there are a number of ways to do it. You can spend some time working with a personal trainer or a physical therapist, learning how to create this kind of movement where your hips travel back. Your lower back is easy, supported. So if I lift up something heavy, if I do this and I round my body out and I try to pick this up, all of that force again of the thing I'm lifting goes directly into the places where I don't want it, where I cannot support it, and where we eventually become injured. Instead, if I keep my back neutral and open, and instead I move my hips, again with the knees gently unlocked, the whole body's soft, you can let your hips go back, and then you can put your hips forward. And that movement of going back and forward with the hips is powerful enough to lift the heavy object without that weight landing in your back. And there are other more advanced versions that you can learn where one leg goes back and you lift up the object and then your leg swings back down. These are all things worth learning if you're somebody that's constantly forced to pick things up off the ground and put things down again. So if you are at work, please do work with an expert to find out how to create these movements. They will save your body in the long run. But in the meantime, we have this simple skill: sitting, standing, and now we begin to learn how to let go of tension as it accumulates. The head goes up, the whole body opens as it expands, your joints loosen, your breath soft and easy, and your mind becomes more and more quiet, peaceful, present. And these are fantastically useful ways to explore making your life, especially in the workplace, more comfortable. Please do pass this on to your fellow workers. Please do take the time to cultivate these skills. I will include several questions that you can ponder in order to explore insight about your own posture, your emotional structure, how it relates to your physical posture, and how to begin to disentangle all of the things that generate tension throughout the day at work, and how to avoid injuring yourself, how to become more comfortable, how to become your best you. You can do it. Please do feel free to reach out to me with questions. I'm always here. I will always answer for free. I want you to find out how to become more comfortable and more at ease, happier in your own skin, in your own life, and spreading that sense of peace while at work. Thank you so much for joining me. Enjoy your practice.